So shop in the grocery store. This is kind of going to be our fun video. So welcome to Truth Bomb's podcast. Did she really say that? So we're out shopping right now, and one of the things that we like to look at is all the crap that is literally in the stores today. So hang with me because we're going to dive into this. And I have Heidi with me, joining me. So I'm flipping to say hello.
Hi.
And so we're going to kind of walk you through fun for in a grocery store. So continuing the story on the hunt. So we're here today talking a little bit about marketing, and marketing is a fantastic piece of every single business. And I'm joined here by
Heidi.
And we're just kind of having some fun in the grocery store today. So one of my favorite things about marketing is how they get you to buy things in the store, right? So you're probably going to see us kind of do this. And we're doing this for our podcast, Did She Really Say That? So what we're going to do is we're going to have a little fun with this. So one of my favorite things in the produce section, if you guys are around me, is the famous kale. What do you like about kale?
Nothing.
Why not?
It's really tough to eat. It doesn't taste good, and one of the things that I've been learning about as we have been diving into this whole thing about the feminine cycle and the feminine and learning more about our bodies and learning more, it's had me go down a lot of rabbit holes. And I will try to keep this super brief, but there's this thing called oxalates in a lot of our vegetables, and quite frankly, a few months ago I'd never heard that word. I'm like, what the hell's an oxalate? And it's like, and if you've never heard the word, I encourage you to go and look it up. But briefly, it's like basically everything that is out there has a way to protect itself, right? Animals that we eat can fight back. They can kick you. They can bite you. They can swish you with their tail. But they have a way to defend themselves. Insects, even though I know some people, I don't eat them. Some people do.
I'm going
down a rabbit hole. See? Anyhow,
vegetables.
Vegetables have a way to protect themselves. It's basically the structure that's in them. It helps them to keep their form, helps them to keep their shape. It's called oxalates. Oxalates, if you ever clean out the sleepies in your eyes, in the mornings, that's a form of oxalates that's forming in your body. It's actually the vegetables that have oxalates in them are forming little crystals in your body, in your joints, in your the kidney stones, the gallbladder stones, dementia. It's all inflammation.
That's what we're looking
inflammation. For. Well, no, dementia too.
Yeah.
Because it's in your brain. And it's like all these things lead back to oxalates. So I encourage you to look up that word because marketing is fantastic. Write down below what you've seen kale on before it became a superfood.
All right, hold on. This is my takeover. So as a former chef, one of the things we did with collard greens, and now you gotta remember, as a chef, we cook everything. Like if there's a food or an animal or an insect, we will probably most likely eat it, serve it, cook it. The one thing that we never did in the culinary industry was cook kale. We use kale for garnish protection. What do I mean by that? Is that we would put it on ice, like beds of ice, to protect fruit. We did it as a way as a garnish. It was just something that was a hardy vegetable that we knew was actually impervious to cold and to extreme heat. Now, in order for you to cook kale, the crazy part is you have to put oil on it and you have to stick it in a high oven. And that only thing is that it does is that starts to kill the oxalates. But eating it raw is actually one of the worst things you can do for you. So that's a little fun fact about kale. And my pet peeve with it is that if the culinary industry wasn't cooking with it for centuries, what makes you think that it's a superfood now? Now hold that thought.
Okay, my other favorite thing that became a superfood because of our favorite wonderful little cartoon character, Popeye, was spinach. Before Popeye, people really didn't eat a whole lot of spinach, but Popeye, it actually increased over 200% in sales. Because why? They think it makes you strong. Actually, it's also, it probably does have benefits. I'm not going to deny that.
They say it has a lot of iron.
Yes, but it also has a lot. It's very, very, one of the highest in oxalates. So if you have inflammation in your joints, if you have gallstones, anything like that, it's very high in oxalates, and it's something I actually think you should avoid.
Good call.
But it's fantastic.
Wait, say that again.
Marketing is fantastic because it got you to eat it really well.
Honestly, good marketing will get you just to buy about anything, even if it's bad for you. Now, before we wrap up, we left the produce section and we walked over to the creamer section. So give us just a sec. Now, we've been told that oatmeal is good for us, and we've seen it come up in a lot of products, and this goes back again to marketing. So let's see how many oat products are now on the market that are actually contributing to our health concerns and why we're doing this video. So one sec, hold up, let's flip this camera. Heidi, what do you got?
So I have Oatly. We also, in here, we have, oat creamer, we have silk oat, we have all kinds of oat. So, and we also have almond and almond milk. So it's basically, it's nuts, grains, and all those kinds of things. It's like they're promoted as something that's really fantastic for you because, we don't want to drink cow's milk or something that's, something we've been doing for hundreds of years. But oats, the thing is, the thing about oats is that they're also extremely high in oxalates. They're also extremely high in mold.
Yeah, they are.
So if you have any issues with mold or histamine or things like that, you might want to consider what you're doing.
And quick little fun fact, all the creamers that are in here that aren't milk-based, which is the majority of them, are actually shelf-stable, which means they don't need to be cold and you don't need to refrigerate it, and that should have you looking at the directions to begin with. Last, before we go, hold on real quick. So with all the oats and greens we have going on in the store, we gotta wonder, is it a good thing to be eating as much as we are of one simple product? Because in the reality is, we have seasonal fruits, we have seasonal vegetables, and unfortunately, because we can get our hands out 24/7, we're doing more harm than good. So stick around and stay tuned as we continue, Heidi and I, to talk about what's good for you and what's not, especially as a woman. So one of the reasons we're doing this series on running through the supermarket and kind of talking about what we see in there, and marketers are always liars, because we truly know that women have the power to really change what's happening to us, our children, and our families through our purchasing power. So if you didn't know, one of the interesting facts is that by 2028, it's projected that women will own 75% of the discretionary income, meaning that women, we have the power to change and rewrite how we accept food into our lives. Now, I know we're all busy. We have tons to do in our day-to-day schedule, but really what we're looking at is what is the reality of buying all these foods that have been projected or told to us or marketed to us as healthy foods, but are actually doing more damage to our bodies than good. And so Heidi, who's really been a forefront of this conversation, even for me, in her research around this, you want to talk a little bit more about what we're doing and how we're bringing this to women?
Yeah, so like I said in the video, I go down a lot of rabbit holes, but I also, I want to make sure that the information that we're sharing has like a basis to it from, scientists, from doctors and things, and some really good books that we have found, and we will put the links down below. One of them is called Toxic Superfoods, and it's by Sally K. Norton, and she goes on, she really makes you understand what oxalates are and what they're doing to your body. Another one that is a fantastic book is about it's called Estrogeneration. It's by Anthony G. J. And he talks about how the estrogenics that are in plastics, that are in everything you're putting on your body and in the foods that you're eating, how they affect you and the generations to come.
Yeah.
So I encourage you to check out those books for the scientific back end of the things that we're talking about.
Yeah, and we've really noticed that as women, we do eat differently than the men do. And when we start honoring our bodies and honoring our 4 phases of our monthly cycle for how we should be eating, how we're feeling, how we're nourishing our bodies, this became a really big topic for us. And so much so that when we were teaching women how to build a business, it was so interesting that we had to dive into this topic for them to understand and really cycle out of all the junk food that we're putting into our bodies that's actually preventing us from being at our best as women in business, and really leading to a lot of that fatigue and that overwhelm is because a lot of what we are subjected to as women, and the science is just now coming out about this. That's one of the big things, is the science is coming out around how superfoods are really more toxic than what they're marketing to you, but marketing does a great job of telling you a great story.
And also it's when you're listening to marketing, you're listening and look around you, what's happening in our world. Why are things happening? Why are more women going to fertility treatments than ever before? Ask about when you see something and you wonder, it's what's causing this? Go down that rabbit hole. What's causing this?
Yeah. Be curious. I think
Be curious.
I think for many of us, we've gotten so complacent in just accepting whatever we've been told as fact. And unfortunately, the news channels and news stations are no longer newsworthy anymore. They're not really reporting. They're not investigating what's really going on. Those are all the backseat stories. So we want to bring to you, inside of Did She Really Say That? Some fun truths around what it is that our food is doing to us as women and how we can change it by our buying habits. We have the ability to upset, and I kid you not, upset the food industry by how we are spending our dollars. And so I encourage you as a mom, as a woman, as somebody that has a care for humanity, that you really dive into the lies that were being sold around food and how it's doing more harm than good. And we're going to continue this shopping series and going into the supermarket and pointing out different ways of how you're going to buy food and what you need to be looking for, because I feel like this is a conversation that really is important, and we're not doing enough of the healthy shopping that really needs to take place to ensure the future generations of our family by what we're eating, what we're consuming.
Yep.
Because a lot of what we're putting into our bodies is more toxic than good. Even if it tells you it's healthy, even if it tells you it's a smart food, if it tells you it's a healthy food, I promise you those are marketing tactics that are leading you down a rabbit hole to probably more health issues than you could possibly imagine. So we're here to kind of give you some background around our food, and I love today's episode around my favorite, spinach and kale, because I have a lot of issues around spinach, kale, and oatmeal specifically, and we're going to continue this series. So stay tuned and stay plugged into our podcast, and thank you so much for joining us. And again, we'll drop our links down below so that you can continue to learn what it is you should be buying to keep yourself healthy, your family healthy, and future generations of humanity healthy. So we'll see y'all soon.